Hey y'all. Um, I was trying to think of something else to talk about with regards to mental health and healing. And what I came up with was emotional and verbal abuse is never okay. And I can definitely speak to that because in my past relationship, I experienced a lot of that. Sometimes you can experience it in a way where you don't know that you're experiencing it, um, because it can be done in such an underhanded way that kind of goes over your head. But for some reason, it does something like unconsciously to your core being of who you are. Like little tactics that slowly break down um, your self-esteem and your self-worth, things like that. So I spoke a lot about emotional and verbal abuse with regards to my divorce of my civil union, with regards to my children and their experience in the relationship. Um, and I just want to say that if someone threatens your life or wishes death upon you or even threatens your children's lives, um, I know in family situations people may do things like that, and folks may not take them seriously. um, in my particular situation, I definitely learned to take everything seriously because of um, events that transpired that was in line with what was said. So, my ex mother in law once said to me um, that when I die, my ex wouldn't grieve my death long. And in fact, when the coffin is in the ground and the dirt is poured over the coffin, my ex would walk away totally unbothered. You know, when you die, she's not going to grieve long. She'll just move on with her life as if nothing ever happened. This was said to me by my ex mother in law in front of my ex, and my ex didn't do anything, didn't say anything, didn't do anything. I was also newly pregnant with my twins at that time, um, and I didn't know I was pregnant. I was like having symptoms, throwing up and stuff, so I didn't know I was pregnant at the time. After the fact, I found out I was pregnant with the twins when that comment was made to me. When I was 7 months pregnant with my twins, I was eating Thanksgiving dinner at the table with my former spouse and her mother, her stepfather, and her two sisters. And my ex mother in law looked at my former spouse and said to her, "When I decide to hurt those babies, you can't do anything to me. You can't stay mad at me. You have to forgive me." She was talking about my babies that were in my belly, my twins that I had, Winter Rose and Laker. But she directed those comments to my former spouse. And again, my spouse put her head down, didn't say anything, was complete silent. Her stepfather was also completely silent. Her other two sisters were also completely silent. And all I could do was grab my belly in fear because I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? She didn't even look at me when she said that comment. She directed it to my former spouse. But no one said anything. It was completely silent. And so that's what I mean. And this was at Thanksgiving at the dinner table. Okay? I was 7 months pregnant. But that's what I mean about verbal and emotional abuse. Like these type of things can happen within family units and no one not know. Um, Now, of course, I discussed this situation with my former spouse, but nothing was ever done about it. And my ex mother in law kept her promise. I had my babies, and exactly 1 year later, she poisoned my daughter. She was 1 years old, 1 year old. She poisoned my daughter until she passed out, and it was like a whole debacle. But all of this was brought up in the court hearing, to which it is now being ignored. the verbal, emotional, mental, physical abuse, everything that was documented, everything, because I even put a restraining order in against my former spouse's parents because of that, which is the reason why the judge placed strict orders against the parents to stay away from the children twice due to the evidence that I presented. But it wasn't until I withheld my children from my former spouse in order to protect them that the judge then looked at some of my evidence, which then allowed him to go ahead and put those strict orders in to keep her parents away from my children. And he put those orders in twice. For some reason, it was omitted. That information was omitted from the divorce decree. Child molestation was also brought up in the situation. That was also omitted from the divorce decree. It was as if, everything that I brought to the table, all of my evidence, all of my paperwork, all of my email, everything is documented, but it was thrown to the side as if it didn't even exist. And so that's what I mean about if you don't have an attorney, they don't give a fuck. That's what I mean about, very important key issues being overlooked for some reason. For some reason. It's very strange that something like that would be overlooked. But if you are ever talked to in a manner that is emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, mentally abusive, until it gets physical, you're not in a good situation. You need to get out of that situation, which is why I made the conscious decision to get out of that situation. Everything that had been done to me over the years, I had some self-worth issues. I stayed too long. As soon as it creeped over into affecting my children is when I made the decision to get out. Unfortunately, fortunately, I was able to get out with regards to the divorce or the dismantling of the civil union. But it got my kids caught up in the web of bullshit where all of my evidence and information was ignored, all of my, and I'm pretty sure there's probably some paperwork that has been redacted. There's probably a lot of my information that has been taken out since key events were kept out purposely of the divorce decree. So, but I have all my original paperwork. I have all of the original paperwork, all of my copies, even a report that was supposed to be given over to the judge from visitation that was not given over. And I don't have that report to go on. This was a couple of days ago, which is interesting because everything that, I reported to the staff during visitation, you would think that would have, I was always told, I'll make sure the judge knows this, but no report was given over. But because I don't trust that people will keep their word, because it hasn't been that way thus far, I made sure to send emails to program directors and send email blasts out saying exactly basically what I told the staff during those visitations so that there would be a paper trail. I'm not stupid. So again, if you're being talked to like that, that is a red flag to run for your life. Hopefully you don't have children involved in a situation. If you do have children involved in a situation, that should make you run even faster. So I just wanted to let you guys know that mental, verbal, and emotional abuse is not okay. Physical abuse is definitely not okay. And I can speak to it because I've experienced it. I talk about it a lot on my podcast. I have some songs on my podcast too. You guys can go past that. All of the other ones are messages with strong lessons in it. Everybody's got a story. I'll leave the link to my podcast if anyone is interested. I'm just glad I can talk about this shit and not break down crying anymore. And like I said, that's how I know I'm healed. And now I can help others. And that is what I'm going to keep doing. I love you, babies. Winter Rose Laker, mommy loves you. in everything I'm doing for y'all. Thanks for listening, y'all. Peace and blessings.